Alright, check it. Welcome back to another Blackbook session. The last one of this year to be exact. I laid this burner down for the boy Wrongs. And you know what they say, 2 wrongs don't make a right. So always keep that in mind. Enjoy the breakdown of this one. I kicked off the sketch using a light brown Sharpie. I brought in the R, and this is actually another one of my favorite letters. I'm familiar with this letter, so I brought in that whip flow and maneuvered around the base to the letter. I moved on to the O and switched it up from what I usually do, but not really, because I still kept it simple. The N was simple as well. Apart from the whips, I added onto the bottom left bar and the top right bar. I moved on to the G and started laying down something fly. At least I thought. I had to. It's the 7th letter. It was my first time working on this letter with that whip style, so I played around with its circular motion and got something flowing. I felt like it looked fly. It could have gone off a little harder though. Now the Z was just my S I usually do, but backwards. Think about it. I had accidentally spelt the boy's name with the S on the first sketches I was working on, and realized until after, so I chose to just implement the S backwards on the final draft to have it looking like a Z, and that was that. For the fill-in, I split the burner into 3 sections using the light brown Sharpie. I wanted to exercise a skill, but I also wanted to show you that there's so many ways to fill in your letters. Keep in mind that there's options. Don't hesitate to try new things. I then came in with the dark brown Sharpie and outlined the bottom section of the letters on the burner, including the minor details that I added, such as the deep cuts and whips. I was giving those parts of the letters their final structure before moving on to filling them in. And once I got that set in stone, I started filling in. I made sure to stay underneath the light brown line that I placed there, and on the line itself, I would add noticeable zigzags swiftly going up towards the middle section. For the middle section of the burner, I used a medium tone brown so it could blend in with the darker brown that was on the bottom. I applied the same technique I used to complete the bottom section and completed the middle section of the burner. Finally, I moved on to the upper section of the burner and applied the same technique. Everything was filled in, so I wrapped it up. I was really satisfied with the filling. The brown tones blending were looking fly. Using like a light turquoise Sharpie, I started applying the 3D on each of the letters. I had the 3D going southwest towards the bottom left corner of the page. To apply the 3D, I used a different method than what I usually do. I've seen many writers apply this method where they fill in their 3D, add their background and background details before they bring in their outline. I personally think that's a fly method to have down when it's time to drop a burner or a piece, so salute to everyone who's rocking with that method. I'm definitely going to be practicing it more. I made the width of the 3D about ½ an inch long, closed everything up, then filled it in to give it its full effect. I remember when I was working on filling in, I imagined the turquoise color looking clean with the brown, and boy am I glad I applied it. So far everything was looking clean, how I envisioned it. After all of the 3 was filled in, I came through with the darker shade of the turquoise and applied it on the inside of the 3D where the fill-in and 3D met. I started applying my outline and I chose to go with the navy blue Molotow 1.5mm nib, so I started tracing the physique on my letters and flowing with them, making sure I applied the cuts and the deep cuts I had sketched throughout the letters, as well as making sure the whips were coming out sharp and precise. It's crazy how the outline really brings your letters' details more to life. You can really start to apply and figure out how precise you want your letters to be while you're applying it. Once I finished outlining each letter though, I moved on to outlining the outside of my 3D, connecting the letters and the 3D together. While I was applying this, I started using a technique to add those rectangular details inside of the 3D. I made sure to have them flowing with the rhythm of the direction that the 3D was going towards. Finally, I retraced certain areas of the burner that were looking thin and made them bold to have the burner looking solid. Using a gray Molotow, I added some bubbles around the burner and made them seem as if they were behind it. To get this right, I have the bubbles on the top and the bottom of the burner really big. And as the bubbles move towards the left and the right side of the burner, I start to shrink them. Y'all catch my drift? Filling in the air pockets in between the letters helps for this effect as well. I added some little bubbles around the burner here and there. I even added some overlapping the letters. I was really just trying things. It's good to get out of your comfort zone. I'm getting a little tired of leaving any white traces from the Blackbook page on my backgrounds, so using one of those thick jumbo Sharpies, I traced around the burner and the bubbles to have that as a hazard line. I didn't want the yellow smearing over the gray and blue Molotov. I filled in the top half, then moved on to the bottom half. I was using the chisel tip to get everything filled in super quick. These specific Sharpies come in handy when it's time to lay down some hand styles. And speaking of hand styles, let me know if you guys want to see some hand style videos down in the comments. I've been thinking of going live as well and just dropping tags for y'all. Anyway, I accidentally smeared the yellow Sharpie with the blue Molotov. I was just like, alright, let me incorporate some of these smears and to test out. Who knows, maybe it'll have the burner looking a bit grimy, and to an extent, it did. I felt like orange had the potential to level out the burner's colors with the yellow background, so I applied little rectangular bricks floating around and on top of the letters and the bubbles. I used a Molotov paint marker for this. I added a couple splats from a distance as well. Adding this brings in some light flavor onto the top of your letters, something like magic does. Using a white Molotov 1.5mm nib, I started adding highlights flowing along the right and bottom side of each letter. This effect really made the details pop out like always, and once I brought in the little stars, it was a wrap. I spread out the little stars throughout the burner to have the burner seem as if it was glistening. A splat from a distance is the key to have that glistening effect. Like I mentioned, it's something like magic does. Last with the white though, I added a couple of zigzags around the corners of the page. Using the 1.5mm navy blue Molotov, I threw up the channel's little emblem and wunk, the click, which really consists of all of y'all. And with the black Molotov 1.5mm nib, I threw up some fellow writers that are going to be featured on the channel in due time. I threw myself up as well as the year and left it at that. That was the finished product for fellow writer Wrongs and for y'all. If you guys were rocking with this burner, let me know in the comments. I've been having a blast dropping these for y'all. I'm gonna keep them coming every week. Thank y'all for the support and the patience. I wish you guys the best on this upcoming year, 2024. Let's hit those books, paint some walls, and develop our skills. Until next time, keep writing. Peace.